so good to me. Oh, you're my baby. You're my baby. You're my baby. I cannot turn my eyes away. I know every word you say.
This is, I haven't listened to the words before. That's the first time I've actually listened to the lyrics of that song.
So goddamn funny.
All right, well, what's up, Sweat Hogs? This is Good Bad Wrestling, No Holds Barred. This is the show where we dig up bad wrestling from the past and then bury it again. I am your host, John.
And I'm Billy Brinks.
And, well, today we're bringing you the nuptials, the wedding commitment ceremony. I don't know what it is, but it was when Chuck and Billy had a commitment.
Thing?
Yeah, they were a thing.
It's Valentine's Day season, and we thought we'd bring you something special. I can't look at you while we're recording this. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Why, are you from Minneapolis and you're full of hate? So before we get going, let me let you guys know you can find the show everywhere. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever they got podcasts, they got Good Bad Wrestling. You can also find us on Instagram at GB2 Wrestling, and you can find us on Facebook
at Good Bad Wrestling, No Holds Barred podcast.
And we love hearing from you guys, so please give us your opinions, your suggestions, your recommendations. And we also, before we get too deep into this, want to let you know that the views expressed in this segment do not reflect that of Good Bad Wrestling, No Holds Barred. We are two people from Northern California. We actually have, work in San Francisco. We have absolutely no negative feelings towards the LGBT community whatsoever. But we just report what we found in wrestling. That's what's going on here. So we've got to tell you guys what they did. they did it.
Billy and Chuck was one of my favorite tag teams.
I loved Billy and Chuck. I never really appreciated Chuck Palumbo's work other than this angle, other than with Billy Gunn.
He was pretty underrated. Like he was good. He just never became like a top guy. He had some cool gimmicks and characters, but this was like his pinnacle of his career.
And this is legit funny. This is a very funny segment. So basically, to start you out here, so Chuck and Billy were kind of singles guys who had been tag guys in the past with other people, and then Rico came on the scene from American Gladiators, by the way, and he teamed them up, and they started having success as a team, except for that Rico was like this ambiguous kind of feminine character, and he was over time sort of I don't know, how would you say it? Like Chuck and Billy were starting to become a little bit more ambiguous.
Flamboyant.
Yeah, and a little bit more flamboyant, and they had more body oil, and they were just in like interesting
pigtails.
Yeah, like they were just doing stuff that would get a rise out of people, basically.
When they would do their entrance, their whole shtick. You'd have Billy laying on his side, and then Chuck would kind of straddle him, and they'd look lovingly in each other's eyes. And this shit over time, they just added little bits of
it just started escalating.
Get each other chocolates and presents, and
basically what they were Gold Dust, the tag team, right? Like throughout the history of wrestling, there has always been androgynous characters, right? Since like the very beginning of professional wrestling. And so this is no different, but it was the first time I think I can recall that it was a tag team, and they turned it up to 11. So the ceremony kicks off with Rico coming out in his zebra print tie and vest, and he has like a Britney Spears headset mic on, and he's just walking down criticizing everything and everyone.
The singers on stage, he's telling them the dress looks bad, hair's not good enough, and they're giggling. Like
he grabs her hair and he's like, "What is with your hair?"
And they're just like, "Oh my god, this is so great!" And he's talking shit to their face.
Yeah, so he's upset that the wedding isn't like looking the way that he wants, so it's not going the way he wants, but the fact that this is it, right? That we can hear you. This is not good. And then it went to commercial. By the way, this is on the September 12th, 2002 Smackdown. So you can go look it up on the network so you can watch it for yourself.
We'll try to put a link in the description.
Yeah. So they go to commercial, and when they come back, Chuck and Billy are in the ring, and they go through
not just Chuck and Billy. You got Chuck, Billy, Rico, Stephanie, and the person, the guy officiating the wedding.
Officiator, the minister, whatever he is, and it's like so obviously Eric Bischoff. Like right away you can see that's Eric Bischoff, and he's doing like a trembling hand thing.
It looks like the bad grandpa. It's like Johnny Knoxville's bad grandpa.
He looks like Dan Aykroyd in not very bad things. What is that movie called where he's wearing like a prosthetic old man face the whole time?
I can't remember the name.
Any of the Good, Bad 2, the sequel listeners, get at me and let me know what movie I'm thinking of. Nothing But Trouble. That's what it's called. He looks like Al Davis.
Al Davis now? Or
yeah, sure. He's doing like this. Honestly, the most troubling thing in this is the fans in Minneapolis, which I'm going to discuss in just a second, but B is Eric Bischoff's trembling hand thing that he's doing is problematic. But Chuck and Billy go through this whole not vows, but they've got like prepared speeches for each other, and Chuck is telling Billy like, oh, I always used to like see you, and when I met you, like your name was, and then he leans over and takes a gander at Billy's ass, and he goes, you were Mr. Ass, but now you're more than Mr. Ass to me. I don't know if you caught this, when he said that he looked right down at his crotch.
And I think Taz said something about he's still Mr. Ass in the home, or he makes some fucking sideways comment.
Jesus. So we did find that the WWE consulted the LGBT about this angle.
It was like GLAAD.
Oh yeah, sorry, GLAAD.
Something like that.
And GLAAD helped them like navigate this angle, and then what ended up on TV was completely different than what they talked about, and GLAAD completely disavowed WWE for this angle, which they should have, because this is awful. So then Billy goes, and Billy says, basically just calls Chuck corny, and he's like, yeah, that like whatever, we're tag team, and then they show a video package. And it's like
glorious.
It's just like romantic music, and it's like the history of them as a tag team, and them just getting like more and more androgynous as they go, and then exchanging headbands with each other's name on it.
And Christian in the back of that clip, the look on Christian's face is, what the fuck am I watching? What are you two doing?
From a man wearing a net shirt. And then they come back from the video package, which was incredible, and it's Bischoff as the minister doing the whole like, speak now or forever hold your peace. This is the second wedding episode we've done, and they time these things perfectly. He says, speak up. Bunch of time goes by. They get just to the last second, and then Godfather's music hits. I had no recollection of Godfather having anything to do with this.
Me neither. I don't remember it at all.
So he comes down with his group of what did Rico call the Good Time Girls?
And they're yelling like, we are hoes. They are owning the hoe train name.
these like actresses or like locals or wrestling students or whoever they are so happy to be hoes.
Could you imagine now, 2020, going on? I don't know how they found them. Like Craigslist wasn't a thing there, but like you're looking through an ad on the internet and it says looking for extras. WWE hoes.
Yeah, we need hoes. We're looking for hoes.
We're looking for hoes.
Is it I don't know the law, but can you get arrested for looking for hoes?
You're towing a line.
It's not a good thing. But so this crowd in Minneapolis has been booing hard, like a hot crowd booing this entire thing. I couldn't pinpoint. Are they booing the individuals? Are they booing the booking of the angle? Are they booing because these are heels involved? Or are they booing what's perceived to be a gay marriage? Because that's what it felt like.
I don't know, because I know when they started, Billy and Chuck were supposed to be a heel team.
Yeah.
So I don't remember completely if they were heel or face. I feel like they had to have been a face team, but they started as a heel team.
In hindsight, in 2020, watching this video, having no context of that, and just hearing Minneapolis, it
feels like
enthusiastically boo this whole thing. It didn't feel awesome. And then so when Godfather shows up and he's like, "Here's some heterosexuality," then people are like, "Yeah!" I was like, "Oh my god,
way to go, Minnesota!"
This is uncomfortable.
So Godfather proceeds to, he basically is like, "What's going on here, Billy? You're legendary.
Yeah.
Like all the girls loved you."
He said, "I used to have to keep you away from the girls because the cookies were giving up too much nookie." Damn, the cookies?
I don't know what that means. I'm going to start using it, and hopefully I use it in the right context.
I don't recommend you do that.
No?
You should,
Just leave that at home.
you should probably not take anything from this and use it in your life. That's a bad idea.
Note taken.
And then he tells Chuck that he was like a legendary skirt chaser.
Especially with the big girls.
With the heftier ladies, he says, which the fans go, boo. So the crowd in Minneapolis, if you're following along, gay, bad, straight, good, hefty girls, straight, that's not as good. Like,
I don't know. I don't know what they want.
this is a judgmental ass crowd.
Can't please these fucking people.
And Rico basically explains that he can take his good time girls and scram. So Godfather's like, "All right, you don't want my hose? Then I know when I'm not wanted." So he leaves. I like I said, I didn't know that Godfather had anything to do with this. That is WWE basically going, we have to inject some heterosexuality into this. Like,
yeah, you can't just leave it at.
oh God, it's so gross. And then so then they get to the actual ceremony part. Rico wants to hurry things along. So he tells the minister just to get to it. And he basically pressures Billy into saying, "I do." And then he pressures Chuck into saying,
Yes.
Yes. And then they both just bring everything to a halt.
Well, when the officiant is starting to say, "I now pronounce you," they're like, whoa, stop. What are you doing, Rico?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
this has gone too far.
It was supposed to be a publicity stunt, and Billy Gunn goes, "We're not gay," and the crowd erupts. And I was like, oh my God, if you tried to do this angle, now first of all, people would just be like, "Okay, great, you're gay, whatever, we don't care." But they certainly wouldn't erupt like Hogan body slamming Andre when someone went, "We're not gay." That was so uncomfortable to hear. And then he goes, "But if I was, I'd probably marry Chuck." Like, still a big fan of Chuck's. And then the minister reveals himself to be Bischoff because he says,
well, what does he say? He says something about,
commitment.
A commitment lasts, is special, and you can't break that bond, whether it lasts, a couple years or 16 months or 3 minutes. And
he's like, "Wait, did I just say 3 minutes?" And at the time, 3-minute warning was Bischoff's like goons, and his shtick is
Jamal and Rosie.
Yeah, he would give people 3 minutes to be entertaining, and if they weren't, then Jamal and Rosie would come in and crush them. Which is Umaga, and then Rosie is Roman Reigns' brother.
Oh, I didn't. I was
rumored
meant to ask you.
everybody. Yeah.
So Bischoff, I believe, was the Raw GM, and Stephanie was the SmackDown GM.
Yeah.
So it was like an invasion.
Yeah, it was like an invasion angle. So they come in, they get the beat down on Chuck and Billy, and Rico turns and kicks Billy in the balls. So you get the turn on him, and then they start beating up Stephanie, which again wouldn't fly today. Well, maybe it would today because now they're doing more intergender stuff.
Yeah.
But and the people that come to make the save was just such a weird throwback, eclectic, random grouping of like Cena before he was a rapper, so he's wearing like neon colored trunks.
It's like the blue, were they like blue and gold?
Yeah, like blue and gold. Like he must have been like months into the company. And then like Eddie with the full mullet, and Edge, and then you have Shannon Moore, Kurt Angle dressed as a candy striper, like he just got done wrapping gifts at the hospital or something. And then you've got Rey Mysterio and Hurricane. Hurricane is, anytime you see Hurricane doing something where he's like, you're not going to acknowledge the fact that you're dressed this way.
Damn it, I love that guy. Well, and him and Rosie.
Yeah,
we're a team.
And then Rosie would become shit, superhero in training. So there's a little tie in there. And then they chased him off, and that was pretty much the end of the segment. And I don't really care where it went from here. Is this good, bad, or disqualified?
Man, this is going to be unpopular. It's so damn good, bad. Because Billy and Chuck was my favorite team. Me and you have been called Billy and Chuck.
We have. It's true.
Ace and Gary. Billy and Chuck.
Yeah, it's true.
I loved him. Just the whole funny little side story. Because of Billy and Chuck, when I was going to return, I thought of an idea of having a 3-man team that were gay, and it was like a weird love triangle between the 3 members, and it just never happened. But I loved the team. I'm calling it good, bad. I understand in today's climate, you can't. With a lot of it, you can't. In the context of wrestling and in the time period,
I'm gonna say it's both. I'm gonna give it the first both I think that we've had on this show, where it has to be disqualified because it's kind of gross that they even thought that they could do this, and that they have Godfather come out, and that the crowd is so seemingly anti-gay, or at least overly pro, like, be whatever I am, woo! But it's also really, really funny. So I don't know. I'm pretty torn. I'm gonna give it a both. I think this is a good, bad disqualification. I like.
Wait, how do we do that?
I don't know. I'm making up the rules. I don't feel right giving it just a good, bad, but I also think it's funny as shit.
It's kind of like a ref in a AEW match.
Yeah.
Is it no DQ? Is it DQ? Can they hit someone? Can they not? I don't know.
Maybe we need a new category. So when we agree that something is disqualified, then we have to give it a golden Russo.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's both, we just call it an AEW referee, right? Like, I saw the blatant disqualification, but I didn't.
But I don't care.
But I didn't disqualify it. So yeah, I'm giving this the AEW referee award.
Fair enough.
All right, that covers it for the Chuck and Billy wedding. You guys can follow along on the socials at GB2 Wrestling and let us know what you think about this and give us your suggestions. Stay tuned because we're going to have the good news, bad news for the week for you coming up, and we will catch you guys next time. Peace.
Good to me.